All right, let's jump right in. We're about to unpack a 2,500-year-old framework for tackling one of the biggest problems we all face. And I want you to forget, just for a moment, anything you think you know about Buddhism as a religion. Today, we're looking at it as a super practical toolkit for your mind, a way to diagnose and maybe even solve the universal challenge of suffering. I mean, think about it, right? When things go wrong in your life, when you feel pain or stress or loss, what's the first reaction? It's usually a sense of confusion. We find ourselves asking, why? Why is this happening to me? We feel totally bewildered. And that feeling, it kicks off this desperate search for answers, a search for a cure. It's what we do as humans. And that universal search for a cure is exactly where this whole thing really begins. This quote right here, it's basically the Buddha's entire mission statement. He wasn't really interested in abstract philosophy just for the sake of it. His focus was intensely practical. It was, here's a problem that we all have, and here is how you solve it. That's it. Now, I know what you might be thinking. All this talk about suffering, it sounds a little grim, a bit pessimistic, but it's actually the complete opposite. See, the Buddha approached this whole issue like a doctor who has a rock solid cure for a really terrible disease. He could talk about the illness so frankly and so openly because he knew there was a way out. He wasn't just pointing at the problem, he was holding up the solution. So that leaves us in this familiar spot. Our confusion, our bewilderment, it often sends us scrambling for relief in all the wrong places. But that impulse, that deep down need to find a cure, that's actually the perfect place to start. The Buddhist path is really just about pointing that search in the right direction. So, how do we find that right direction? Well, the very first step on the path is getting a hold of a tool called right view. And it's so important to get this. This is not a belief system you have to adopt and then defend for the rest of your life. No, think of it more like a tool, like a special kind of lens that helps you see the problem of suffering clearly for what it actually is. Let me put it another way. You can't get to the goal without having views, but the views themselves are not the goal. They are a means to an end. It's kind of like using a hammer to build a house, right? You use the tool for its job, and once the house is built, you put the hammer down. You're not supposed to go around whacking people over the head with it. This tool is for a very, very specific job. And this right here, this is the fundamental diagnosis that the tool of right view allows us to finally see. These are the Four Noble Truths, and you can see it's a really clear four-step process. First, you just identify the problem. Okay, there's suffering. Got it. Second, you figure out the cause. Third, you realize, and this is huge, that a cure is actually possible. And fourth, you follow the prescription, the path that leads to the end of the problem. It's a clear, logical problem-solving framework. But okay, there's actually a deeper layer to this. You know the traditional symbol for the teachings, the Dhamma Wheel? It usually has 12 spokes, and that number isn't random. It actually represents those four noble truths, each understood on three different levels. So for each truth, first, you simply know it. You understand the concept. Second, you know the duty that comes with it, what you're supposed to do about it. And third, you know when you've completed that duty. It's about a complete, total mastery of both the diagnosis and the cure. Okay, now we are getting to the absolute game changer. This is the most critical insight that right view offers us, and it has to do with that second noble truth, the cause. This is the part that changes everything because it totally shifts our focus to where our suffering actually comes from. Just look at the contrast here. Back in the Buddha's day, a really common view, you see it on the right, was that your suffering today is just the result of stuff you did in the past. You're basically powerless. You just have to sit there and take it. But the Buddha's insight over on the left, wow, it was revolutionary. He said the main cause isn't locked away in the past, it's happening right now in your own mind. It's this present moment craving and clinging. And here's the kicker. If the cause is in the present, then you have the power to do something about it right now. You've got agency. This is such a fantastic analogy for how right view actually works in practice. See, we cling to things all the time. We grab onto thoughts, feelings, stuff, because we think this is going to make me happy. But right view is the lens that helps us see that those very things we're clinging to are actually the source of our pain. Once you truly, deeply see that the food you've been enjoying is actually poison, it gets a whole lot easier to just let it go. That understanding is what gives you the power. Okay, so we've got this incredibly powerful tool. But mastering any tool means knowing that there isn't just one way to use it. You got to know that there are different levels of right view, different lenses, you could say, for looking at the world depending on the situation. So there are basically three levels or lenses. First up, you have the mundane view. This is your day-to-day lens. It's about basic cause and effect. If I'm kind to people, I'll probably get better results. It's what helps us be decent human beings. Then you can switch to a deeper lens, the transcendent view. This is where you look at your own mind and see that your sense of a solid me is really just a bunch of changing processes. You use this view to uproot the deep clinging that causes pain. And finally, there's the ultimate view. That's when the job is done and you let go of everything, even the tool of right view itself. Honestly, this is the best way I can think to put it. It's like having trifocals for your mind. You've got a lens for looking at things way up close, one for the middle distance, and one for seeing far away. Real skill, true wisdom, is all about knowing which lens is the right one to look through at any given time. Which brings us to the most crucial point of this whole explainer. It all comes down to this one question. In the face of all of life's chaos and uncertainty, what is truly the most valuable thing? What should we protect no matter what? Well, the Buddha was very, very clear about this. So just look at this distinction. We spend so much of our lives and our energy worrying about the losses on the left, losing our money, our health, even people we love. And yes, those losses hurt, of course they do. But the Buddha argued they aren't the most serious losses. The truly serious losses, the ones that have long-term consequences, are on the right, the loss of your own virtue and your right view. And why is that? Because those are the two things that are 100% within your control, and they are what determine your real happiness, no matter what's happening on the outside. And this is the level of dedication we're talking about. Goodwill, that genuine wish for others to be well, even people you find difficult, is a core part of right view. You have to protect it with the same fierceness a mother would protect her only child. It's that fundamental. And that brings us right to the final, most important takeaway. Your greatest possessions, your most precious treasures, they aren't out there in the world. They're inside you. Your own integrity and your own clear seeing, those are your true refuge. Those are the qualities that will actually keep you safe and guide you toward real well-being, whatever life throws at you. So at the end of the day, this isn't just some ancient philosophy to think about. It's a direct challenge. It says that the power to end your own suffering is right there in your own hands, in the way you decide to train your own mind. It's a path, and yeah, it takes effort and skill. The Buddha basically laid out the map. The only question left is, are you up for it?